Guys, new details have been released about Travis Decker, which is on the run right now after unaliving his three beautiful daughters. Paityn, Evelyn, and Olivia were unalived on May 30th by their father and left at an isolated campground at the Rock Island Campground in Washington State. There's an all-out manhunt right now for Travis Decker. We are learning new information about a neighbor of Whitney Decker that had conversations with Travis Decker the day he picked up the children, and he describes a different demeanor in Travis. Travis Decker is a 32-year-old Afghan war veteran. Whitney Decker's neighbor, Ben Wynn, had some chilling details to provide the public. Ben describes Travis as looking sad when he picked up the girls. The neighbor describes Travis as disoriented and repeating the same question over and over again to him. According to Ben, Whitney confided in him a lot, being a neighbor and knowing the family for years. He describes Whitney as a devoted mother that worked 2 jobs and took classes to try to take care of her family. Ben also describes Travis as a devoted father, very clean shaved, before he became physically violent with Whitney. So now we do have the element of domestic violence inside the home. However, when the couple separated, they noticed a stark decline in the appearance of Travis Decker. Ben said he kept in contact with Whitney during the search efforts, texting her until she ultimately told him that they did find the girls. He said he cried. He doesn't understand how Travis can do that to his beautiful children. Children that the whole community loved. However, the breaking information is the information related to what they found at the campsite and the wallet. His wallet is found. So let's go over everything that he does not have. He does not have his children. He does not have his truck. He does not have his dog. He has no cell phone, and he does not have his wallet. He has no money. Everybody's saying he is on the run, but where is the evidence of him being on the run? We haven't heard of any evidence out there in the field. We haven't heard of them finding anything that leads directly to Travis Decker or his path of travel. And nobody has seen him on video surveillance. Only a lot of assumptions. Is he deceased out in the woods somewhere and they're just waiting to find him? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Well, good morning, my beautiful coffee beans of a TikTok. It's nice to see you. I'm Bullhorn Betty, and we cover true crime here on this channel, and we are covering exhaustively the manhunt for Travis Decker right now. Hey, Philip, Granny, Carla, it's nice to see you. Always ask you. Love that. Holly, Mary, Gregory, Christy, it's nice to see you this morning. We do have some updates, guys. Some more details that we did not originally have. I just dropped a video about the details, but wanted to come on here and give you guys a little more in-depth detail that I can't put in the video because we only have so much time, unless you want a 30-minute video, right? That's what they do. We give you guys the teasers on the little shorts, and then we come here live and we kind of dive in a little bit so you guys have all of the updated information. Hey, Jen, Kendra, it's nice to see you. Melissa, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Guys, I have to be honest with you. Before I start talking about this, I know I have been kind of having the undertone of I don't believe he's on the run. I believe he's deceased. Okay, I don't know why. I know why I believe he's deceased. There's a variety of reasons why I believe he's deceased, but law enforcement is saying that they believe he's heading to Canada. So I've got to report what law enforcement is saying, but I am also going to give you guys my opinion as well. So I want everybody that's in this area to be hyper vigilant, okay? They're telling you guys to lock the doors, lock the windows, and keep your lights on, okay? Don't keep your house dark in this time. Keep your lights on. Make your house a Christmas tree, okay? Act like it's Christmas and light it up. That's what law enforcement is recommending right now. They're in certain areas. We'll get to those in just a second. But this is related to the neighbor. His name is Ben Wynn. And he's known the family for years, and he describes this day that Travis picked up the girls. So I wanted to read this entirely to you so you have the full context. So stay with me. It's a little long-winded, but I'm absolutely confident that you guys will want this information. So the neighbor of Whitney Decker shared chilling details of the final encounter with Travis Decker when he picked up the girls at 5 o'clock on May 30th before they disappeared. Authorities believe the 32-year-old Afghan war veteran suffocated his children, Paityn 9, Evelyn 8, Olivia 5, and of course we know about the zip ties. I'm not going to go into those details. I don't know what I can say on TikTok without getting in trouble, so you guys know the details. Their bodies were found on Monday near Decker's abandoned vehicle. So he has no vehicle. We've known that since they found them. So we know that he has no truck. And we know that they were found at the Rock Island campground in rural Chelan County. Decker has extensive military training. We all know that. And he knows how to survive off the grid for an extended period of time. Decker's neighbor, Ben Wynn, spoke to the Daily Mail and described the disturbing interaction with the father earlier that day. Decker arrived at the family home Friday afternoon to pick up the daughters for their scheduled visit. Wynn recalled he had a sad look on his face, a sad look on Decker's face, and he seemed disoriented. We're hearing this word disoriented quite a lot when we're talking about this. Even law enforcement, the days before when they had the surveillance camera, they were talking about him being disoriented on that Ring doorbell, knocking on some door he didn't really have any business being there. He wasn't there for work, but he was knocking on the door, and you see him kind of take his hand and slide up and down the surface of the door. It was a little weird, I will tell you. So they're talking about him being disoriented at that moment. Ben Wynn, the neighbor that's known this family for years, is talking about disoriented. So it sounds like this man is very disoriented and unhinged at this time. What was strange is he kept asking Ben the same question over and over, as if he couldn't remember that he asked Wynn the same question already. That is still describing very much a disoriented man. Wynn, whose home was just yards from Decker's residence in the Apple capital of the world, said the news deeply shaken him. He shared texts that he had with Whitney during this time. And Whitney, over the weekend, frantically searching for her daughter after they failed to return home. He just doesn't know how that he could unalive his beautiful daughters. So he did provide some additional information here that I think is interesting for you guys. Whitney previously confided in Ben that her ex-husband had become unstable and physically abusive. We never heard of this physical abuse until the neighbor. Even Whitney said he had never been violent to her or the children. So this is a stark difference than what we once knew about Travis. So we do have domestic violence tendencies now. So that's what ultimately led to the divorce. And Wynn has known the family for years, describing Whitney as a devoted mother who worked 2 jobs and took college classes to provide a better life for her family. Evelyn once gave him a friendship bracelet for mowing their yard. When Decker first moved in, he was clean cut, physically fit, and was a former commando who had joined the National Guard. But after the couple separated, Ben also started noting the stark decline in his appearance, becoming gaunt, unshaved, and seemed very withdrawn. When Decker picked up the girls on 5 p.m. That Friday night, they had small talk and asked about work. This is interesting, guys. You know how there were searches on his phone from Canada, that he was looking how to relocate to Canada and how to get a job in Canada? He replied to Ben stating that he worked out of state. He was doing construction out of state. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Did he already get a job in Canada? Could be faking going to... People do believe he's faking going to Canada. But he did tell the neighbor he had a construction job out of the state, which is the first we've heard about that. And then he failed to return the girls. Later that weekend, Wynn told, had an odd text from Whitney asking him to move the car just in case Travis comes. When he asked if he heard anything, she says there is a chance. There's helicopters going out. The next day, he texts her again, any news about the girls yet? And that's when she told him they found their bodies. They can't find Travis. And that's all she replied. He broke down in tears. He can't understand. He asked her how it happened. She was not sure at that time. And then it goes on to say the police found the girls' remains, their bodies 75 to 100 yards from Decker's truck, the zip ties on them. The court documents state that the autopsy was homicide and manner asphyxiation. Bloody handprints were found on the tailgate. We have information about that. They are not, part of it was male blood and part of it was non-human blood on the handprints. So I don't know what those mean. And maybe he was trying to make it look like there was an attack at the campsite and he was taken off and maybe he put the handprints, kind of like, the creepy shows that we watch, right? Maybe he did something like that to help, and again, they believe he's on the run. They believe they have a trail on him and they're tracking it. We don't know what's going on. I just truly believe everything that's being described is describing a broken man that most likely will not survive this. That's what I'm seeing. But again, I'm not law enforcement. I don't have their investigative file. They may have more information. Obviously, they will have more information than we know. But also what was found inside the vehicle was food, blankets, car seats, and Decker's wallet. So now he doesn't have a vehicle. He has no clothing. He has no supplies, no money, no food, no blankets, no nothing. So again, and leaving his dog behind. That, I don't know. I don't know of any man that can just leave their dog behind. The dog that never judged them, their best friend. I think that's indicating of something. And why didn't he take off in his truck? Why is he on foot? It just seems like he's trying to find a dark place, but he could, again, be on the run. I just don't, from everything we're understanding, but we did hear from coworkers that he was narcissistic, so that plays in it, and I've attested it, or for me personally, for this show, have tagged him and flagged him as a family annihilator, which they never really kind of finished themselves. So, there are supporting information that he is on the run, but there's a lot of supporting information that said he was, likely to self-harm. And with the situation at hand and knowing that he is in that elevated group of self-harm, it makes me feel like the ultimate situation we're going to find is he ultimately succumbs to self-harm. That's what I truly believe. But the court documents reveal that he has been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and is supposed to undergo mental and anger management treatments as part of his parenting agreement, but there was no evidence that he followed through with any of that. Whitney has raised concerns in the court filing last September about him struggling to maintain stability and had girls slept in unsafe environments, including an armory and his truck. So those were inappropriate places to have kids sleep overnight, and so she stopped all overnight visits, but Whitney ultimately wanted her ex-husband to have a relationship with their daughters. She wasn't this vindictive woman. She wanted her husband well, and she wanted her family to thrive. That was the ultimate goal. And from all of our understanding, he was at everything when it came to this girls. No matter how bad his life was, he was always at their dance recitals, always at their events, always a show-up father. So in the grand scheme of things, nobody could have ever imagined that this would have been the outcome of this case. So or is he going to Canada? Is he going somewhere else? Did he attempt to run and then decide, did he attempt to run and then decide to, I don't know, change directions or decide something different? Because law enforcement says he planned this for at least a week, that he had planned this for a week. That doesn't bode with the description that Whitney provided us. And so I'm all kinds of confused. I'm hoping that he is not this monster that can do this. And I'm really truly hoping that this is truly a mental breakdown. We definitely know he's not in his right mind, but there's a lot of people out there not in their right mind that don't do this type of horrific stuff, okay? We deal with mental health stuff on a daily, and we don't have everybody else acting like this. So we can't say that this mental illness or whatever it could be is justification for what's going on. It's not. There are a lot of people that suffer untreated every single day, and their story doesn't end this way. So if somebody is whacked out, she knew, and she was trying very hard to balance that. I know that according to her attorney, she's not blaming the court system, but I'm sorry, I am. The courts are ultimately responsible for these kids. They're the ones that order this stuff. If he's having stark declines, why didn't they make sure he had his anger management and other classes done that were part of his parenting plan? When he started having these declines and she was going back before the court, why didn't the judge look into it and ask him, when are you going to complete these? Well, if you want to have visitation, we'll give you supervised visitation. If you'd like unsupervised visitation, then you need to finish these classes. Something to that effect. None of that happened. And I know right now she's just distraught, and she may not be looking at the courts as a problem. But, for us that don't really have a dog in the fight, aren't emotionally, we're emotionally, how can you not be emotional about this case? But, emotionally involved, like, an arm's length to these girls like they are. And I'm sorry, but it just doesn't, I blame them. I blame the courts. She has fault in this too. I don't think so. I think her only fault is trying to be a good mother and trying to look out for the children's best interest. And I'm sorry, I have to agree. Having their biological father in their life is in the best interest of the children. He's never, from my understanding, showed violent tendencies ever at the children. From everything everybody has ever talked, his kids were his world. So if his kids were his world, then and I don't really we have to look at behaviors and backgrounds to identify. Now, there are some things that are coming up that are changing my assessments that we didn't originally know. For example, the domestic violence, we did not know that he was getting physical with Whitney. That changes things. That changes the assessment. Before his coworkers, we didn't know he had these narcissistic tendencies. But now we know. So that does go into the analysis of Travis Decker, and it changes things. So I'm getting mixed information. I'm trying to, understand this case just like everybody else and how we got here. But I think, nobody's really spot on. I don't think law enforcement is spot on, and I don't think Whitney is spot on. But I think between the two, there lies Travis. I think Whitney, maybe her perception, because she loved him so much and was married to him, may have been previewed from a kinder lens than should have been previewed. Maybe she wasn't seeing, she knew he was having mental health, but maybe she was in denial of how concerning his mental health was, if that makes sense. Just pure denial. And maybe she still is in part in denial of who this man has become. Is it mental health? I'm sure part of it is. But mental health, I don't think, causes people to be evil. And this, to me, is evil. It's demonic. Maybe then she is partly to blame then. I don't think mom's to blame at all. Think about it. What is she to blame for? Loving her children, wanting the best for her family. There's no blame for her. She did everything she could. She informed the courts. She was at the court's mercy. She followed all the court orders. Now, I would say she would have been partly to blame if she didn't address the court when she started seeing this decline, but she's under court order, so she just can't make decisions by herself. She has to do it with the ex-husband, as well as the court. It's a three-party parenting now. When you go through a divorce, it's pretty much a three-party parenting. You've got the father, the mother, and the courts. And she was following the courts. But if she had not notified the courts of his mental decline, then I would say, yeah, she would have been partly involved or partly responsible. But here, everything that I'm looking at and when she did it was proper. I think she's done everything that she could possibly do properly, and she was following the law. I think a lot of things failed her. And the children, more so than her being partly to blame. I think the only person that can be blamed here is Travis Decker. I think that we need to put the blame where the blame is. At the end of the day, there are a lot of people in the military that come back really messed up. You don't see them doing this. Okay? So even if the military, even if Veterans Affairs VA is not giving them the proper care that they need, a lot of them aren't getting the proper care that they need, but they're not unaliving their children. Okay? So we have to look at this from a different lens, because I find myself almost being empathetic or sympathetic to him. And even for me, I've got to stop, because this man unalived 3 children, and law enforcement is telling us that he has planned this for a week. That doesn't sound like a loving man. That sounds like a very a strategic person that put a plan in place and executed it, not disoriented. So I'm still in the middle, because everybody's saying he's disoriented, yet law enforcement saying he's this calculated, strategic animal. What is it? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Send me emails, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for allowing me to bend your ear, and thank you for allowing me to tell you a little more about this. But he doesn't have his truck. He doesn't have his wallet. He doesn't have food. He doesn't have clothing. He doesn't have his dog. He is, like, when they talk about rock bottom, I don't know if there's anything lower than where he is right now. He is at rock bottom. And based upon the psychology of military personnel at rock bottom, that statistic would tell us he would self-harm. But narcissism, 7-day planning, shows a very calculated and strategic man, far from being disoriented and this victim of the VA and mental health. So we have to I'm still bouncing between the two as we're learning more about this case and trying to hone in on, and I don't think any of us are going to be able to hone in on his thought process, but hopefully they're getting more information. I know that FBI profilers are probably already involved, and that will help them identify, and if they've got the profiles and the profiles are saying he's moving, then he's probably not self-harmed. So I'm maybe giving this man a little too much credit by saying he was so low that he's self-harmed, but I guess only time will tell. We're staying on top of it, but I do appreciate everybody coming in here and sharing your perspective and opinion and allowing me to share mine. So we'll continue talking about this. I am covering this. I'm keeping update. My audience on YouTube is making sure I keep updated with all the breaking related information on the case. So we'll be coming live as stuff breaks. I really do hope they find him, but I'm not going to deny my feelings. I kind of, as horrible as this makes me sound, I kind of hope he's deceased when they find him. I think Whitney and the community has gone through enough, and I don't think that mother, no matter how strong she thinks she is, could go through a trial. And at the end of the day, I'm sorry, I think that this is unforgivable, and I'm an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth type of person. So that's where we're at with me. Anyways, God bless you guys. Have a great day, and we'll be back soon.